private spaces, steal our dignity, steal the innocence of our young girls. But make no mistake about it, we may have won a battle, but we have not won the war. The war on women remains. So now is not the time to rest on our laurels. Our law center, in its amicus brief in New York State Rifle and Pistol Association versus Bruin, which was cited twice by Justice Alito, provided examples of why women need to be able to defend themselves. And I'm going to read a few of these examples to you today. Heroic women. Teresa Kinsbury was driving north from Connecticut to New York in the early morning hours when two cars forced her to the shoulder of a deserted road. She was alone and had $5,000 in cash, transporting it from one ski shop to another. She appeared to be an easy mark. Two men approached her vehicle, one brandishing a hammer. Teresa raised her loaded handgun, and the men fled. Peggy Landry was out with friends for dinner in New Orleans one evening. When they returned to their vehicle, a man shoved a revolver through the open window and pressed it against her friend's head, demanding money and jewelry. As the women began to pull off their jewelry, Peggy reached for her Smith & Wesson and pointed it at the man. He left. Deshauna Street, a black woman, bought her first gun in June 2020. She works in retail and began to fear for her safety when over 100 nearby businesses were damaged following the death of George Floyd. After purchasing her firearm, a pink Glock 43, Deshauna took a firearms class, obtained a concealed carry permit. Now she always has a firearm with her, either holstered to her belly band or on the nightstand. She says it gives her a sense of safety and security. And finally, imagine being a woman fleeing a violent relationship. Imagine how desperate you'd be to protect yourself and your children. That's how Carmen Whitefield felt when the protective order against her ex-husband proved useless. When he showed up at her door, she pointed a .357 Magnum in his direction, fired over his shoulder, and he hasn't violated that order since. These are just a few examples of women for whom the right to bear arms is essential. In addition to my work with I.W.N, I have the honor of serving as a president of a K-12 charter school that makes school shootings and gun violence a very important issue for me. But gun control legislation is not the answer. We know gun control legislation has zero power to change criminal behavior, and to believe so is to indulge a false sense of security. There are real solutions to better protect our children and prevent school shootings or other such incidents in the future. Here's some facts. According to a 2019 study by the Crime Research Prevention Center, the number of people killed in school shootings has been on a steady increase over the past 20 years. Although numbers are relatively small when considered statistically, we know that each single life lost is devastating to the family that lost that loved one, devastating to all of us as community members. During the same period, the number of people killed in school shootings where armed staff programs are in effect has remained flat, a zero. This speaks to the deterrent effect of killers knowing that they would be met with lethal force if they tried to take lives at a school. Opponents of arming school staff want you to think teachers don't want to carry a gun. They want to teach, but that's a lie. Enough school staffers want to be armed on campus to make it a safer place. There is no policy anywhere that would require a school employee to carry a firearm. These policies are always based on volunteers. And according to a 2018 poll by Gallup, 73% of teachers oppose carrying guns in schools. But it's not necessary for all staff members to support the policy. Those who do support the policy then go through the process of ongoing extensive training with many of the professionals here today to become authorized to carry it on campus. That's enough to make the campus safer. It's also important for us to look at what consistently happens in school massacres. School staff members put their bodies between bullets and children, and they often die in the process. See, they have the mindset to save children. And with that mindset plus training, they should be allowed to carry a firearm. They should be allowed to do it. People ask a lot of questions about how safe armed staff programs are. Are they safe? And they should ask questions. They should. We ask questions, don't we? What if a student gets a teacher's gun? What if the police mistake the armed staffer for the killer? What if there's an accident involving an armed teacher and her gun and someone gets hurt? Well, here's the facts. There's no report of students getting an armed teacher's gun. Yet, in training, such as that offered by Faster Colorado, Faster Saves Lives, they learn concealment and weapon retention techniques. There have not been any incidents with armed staff having armed encounters with law enforcement, but training covers that potentially dangerous link up. There are also new technologies that help law enforcement recognize who's armed on campus. Training also focuses a significant amount of time on safety so that there aren't accidents. There's only been one report, here's the truth, of a negligent disarm of a firearm on a Utah campus. No one was hurt. A round was fired into a toilet of a staff restroom. Any negligent discharge is unacceptable. But one incident in decades is not a trend. But we have a trend of school shootings. Arming staff isn't the only way. The Homeland Security Digital Library details 12 case studies where planned violence targeting K-12 was averted because of school resource officers. But Second Amendment opponents want to convince you there's no evidence that SROs avert planned violence. We know that's not true. Even law enforcement knows that removing SROs is a bad idea. That's why they want you to defund the police. Gun-free zones filled with women and children create soft targets, and that only emboldens perpetrators to strike. SROs prevent violence in schools. In an analysis of 67 averted school attack plots, nearly 1/3 of the cases featured SROs playing a role in either reporting the attack or responding to a report made by someone else. This highlights the role of a trusted adult in the community. I hope that you will go to IWNetwork.com and that you will check out all the work that we're doing to protect women, to protect children, and to have smart gun processes in place. A big thank you to Accurate Aim's Firearms for being my family's personal point of contact for firearms. And thank you everyone who is here today. Please make sure that you thank your local officials, law officers, veterans that are here today because they're here to help you stay safe. God bless you.
Thank you so much, Christy. We appreciate it.